Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hello, everybody. It's Becky Brown, and I am so glad that you joined us today. And by us, I'm talking about Mark Cameron and Dr. Jill Hubbard. Hello.
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 I'm so glad you guys are there. You know, one of the things that we hear a lot on the program is some regrets that people experience in their life. Now, you know, it's impossible to have a regret-free life. You're going to make mistakes. Things are going to happen that either you're going to feel bad that it happened to you or that you made the choice, that you did that caused the regret. But, you know, how do you move beyond regrets so that you can live free and, you know, change the trajectory of your life? Because a lot of times those regrets will keep us stuck. Mark, Jill?
Yeah. So I think that's important what you said there, Becky, is that we all will have regrets, right? But I think what we're talking about here is when you live in regret, and that's a different thing, right? And so when we live in regret, what we're doing is we're longing for an outcome that didn't actually materialize, right? And that makes us depressed. It can make us anxious. And what we need to do is learn how to change that thought pattern, right? Because there's nothing that we can do about it when something has happened. But what we need to do, I think, is either grieve that loss, right, of the thing that didn't turn out the way that we wanted it to, or we didn't do what we should have done, and or find that learning point. Okay, so we're learning beings. This happened. What can I learn from that? How can that be maybe a tool in my tool bag for next time? Right. And then when you find your thoughts going back to that regret, remind yourself, no, I figured that out. Here's what I'm learning from that.
Right.
So don't should all over yourself.
Right. Don't
dwell
on it.
That's what you were saying.
Correct.
Right. But I think
Jill?
there is that period of time, like you said, you have to grieve. And I think you have to ask for forgiveness from the Lord, right? And you have to forgive yourself for either your limited knowledge at the time or not handling something correctly. And then if there are people that you have regret about, right, it would be to lean in and to make some amends or to pay restitution if necessary, right? To try to make it right as best you can without causing further damage.
And what is the difference, do you think, between regret and guilt? Because a lot of times we feel the guilt and won't, make that amend. So then we feel the regret for the guilt. And so it is a pattern.
Yeah, I think regret is more often rooted in shame, right? And shame has to do with personhood, right? Whereas guilt has to do with an action, right? I did something bad or I am bad. And I think that, when we're in shame, we form this negative belief about ourselves, and then we tend to wallow in that, and that's where I think regret tends to thrive. So again, it's learning, to separate those two things, right? Personhood from actions, and my actions doesn't, make me, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think sometimes we have regret that our life didn't go a certain way, right? And as if somehow we're then on God's plan B. And God uses everything, and he uses those mishaps. And so, like you said, we want to learn from them and not wish them away and wallow in what could have been.
And even to that point, Jill, that's where our focus on gratitude and what God has done in our lives, it can really change that thought process from focused on the regrets, and even just accepting that God has forgiven us. Because a lot of times we can't accept that. We get something from feeling bad.
Or God loves us even though we didn't have the ideal family.
Exactly. There's so many ways. But if you need help with that, give us a call. We are going to take some calls after this, but we're so glad that you are here with us today.
My husband was involved with a pornography addiction. He was unfaithful. I called the wedding off. He stepped out on the marriage and ended up having a child.
The Restore Workshop is designed for a woman dealing with a man's sexual addiction issues.
My husband is a recovering sex addict. There were strip clubs, other ladies.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Workshop will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
Restore has empowered me and has given me the tools to work through my anger, work through my pain, work through my confusion, and help me realize that I am worthy.
Being here and being surrounded by people who get it has given me my power back.
The Restore Workshop is being held online Saturday, June 10th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
Thank you, Restore. You have changed my life forever.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. It's Becky Brown with you today, as well as Dr. Jill Hubbard and Mark Cameron, and we are answering your calls. We're going to go to the calls now, and we're going to talk with Sheila, who's calling us from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, listens on WBYN. Hi, Sheila. Thanks for calling. How can we help you today?
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Of course.
My daughter, she's 32, and my grandson is 9, and she's had a difficult year and a half or so with housing and just her health and all, her mental health as well as her physical health. They recently moved to North Carolina with my ex-husband, and my grandson has not been in school. He's very bright, but he has not been in school for the entire year. So he's missing his whole 4th grade year. And I believe he missed some of the end of 3rd grade because she had him in homeschooling. And they, insisted that she finished up with them. But then she, cut ties with them. So there's no one even, looking for my grandson. They don't know that he even exists in North Carolina. And my question to you guys is, should I try to report her to the authorities? I just don't know what to do. She's not listening to me. She's it's just bad.
Well, before Sheila, what has kept you from doing that to this point?
I keep calling her. Well, first of all, I don't have an address. But I keep calling her and try to tell her, what you're doing, you could be in trouble for that. And, he really is bright and you need to, he needs instruction. He needs to be with other children, and she just keeps fighting me on it. Just like, no, I don't want him to be in the establishment. And, they messed me up. And, so it's really sounding like my sister, we have mental illness running in our family, and when my sister got sick many, many years ago, I remember she used to mix the truth with some fantasy stuff or lies or even. And so my daughter is now reminding me of that, she's doing that, what my sister used to do. So I'm really afraid. I mean, I know she loves my grandson. She wouldn't do anything to hurt him. And I finally got to talk to my ex-husband because I was afraid, but one of my pastors said, you need to call him. So he finally called me back, and to my surprise, we were on the same page, which we never are about our daughters. We have 3 daughters. And so he said he'd done everything he could do. She won't listen. So he just doesn't bother her about it. He doesn't let my grandson go out, during the day so people will know.
Right.
Somebody will report them, which I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that somebody
Sheila,
will report it. Yes.
Sheila, this is a really just a tragic situation. Jill, let's start with you. I know that there's some
I'm
things
glad
that we
that
can
you
do.
were able to kind of have a meeting of the minds with your ex-husband. That's always helpful. I'm wondering if he would be willing to maybe contact the school system there or go to the school system there and ask about what he should do in a situation. Would he, I mean, since he's thinking the same thing, why not get help from the school, right? As well as, and certainly you could do that too, but he is there. As well as perhaps, and maybe you could even research some different types of schools in the area, right? Are there charter schools? Are there homeschool groups? Are there different types that maybe your daughter would feel comfortable with? And if she's not wanting the public school system, like what else is available?
Right. She did do that while she was here because she's from Philadelphia. She was born and raised here. And she did do that. She took him out of public school when COVID hit. And she was in it, but she went through a couple of the online or, homeschooling systems. The second one was much better than the first one. She didn't feel supported by the first one. And so, but then, at the end of third grade, I noticed that he wasn't going to school.
Right. So, Sheila, this is a situation, though, where I could even make a case for Child Protective Services to find him and locate him. Mark, what would you offer to Sheila about this?
I think what concerns me about some of what you're saying here, Sheila, is also not letting him go out so that people don't know that he's there, because then my mind starts to go to, well, what if your grandson hurts himself and he needs to go to the hospital or something like that, and then he doesn't get taken because your daughter doesn't want to know him to be flagged somewhere in the system, and really, this is neglect, and she's. I know,
So I believe
so.
That
I get the tension of you don't want to. You don't want to ruin the relationship with your daughter, but also at the same time, there's a situation happening where your grandson, he's helpless, and he needs the adults in his life to help him. And so I wonder if your ex-husband, if he doesn't want to be the one to report, if he can at least tell you where they're living, give an address, and that you could go ahead and do that, because I think we do, with our grandkids, we have a duty of care to them.
Right. Yes. And you can even start by calling anonymously and explaining the situation and getting their input and asking them, what information do I need? And then making the decision about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sheila, I know that's a tough situation, but we want to encourage you to do that next right thing and, make the phone call and just take the risk. I don't think you'll regret it. I know that your grandson needs some adults in his life. Your daughter's struggling. And so we want to, we don't want to look back and say, I should have done this. We're going to send you a copy of How We Love Our Kids, which, maybe if you can give to her, I think that could be helpful as well. We're so sorry that this is happening, but we know that there is hope that we'll just kind of disrupt what's happening right now. And a lot of times when people get in those stuck situations, you think, I don't know what to do because I don't want her to be mad. But here's the thing. He needs help. He needs somebody to make the call, and, we'll just get things in motion. To your point, Mark, if he's hurt, she may be resistant to get him help because of what she is thinking. So we're glad you called, Sheila. We are going to go to Gail, who's calling us from Knoxville, Tennessee, listens on WRJC. Hi, Gail. We're glad you called. How can we help you today?
Thank you. I'm wondering, please, how to confront our daughter with an online dating situation while she's not yet divorced, but going through a divorce. And we are beginning, we know for a fact that there's a lot of things that are going on that makes us think that she's hooked up with some guy that's telling her all these kinds of things. And we're fearful that he's into some kind of porn things. I'm talking about sex trafficking and that kind of stuff. So we're very concerned. At first it was just we were feeling she was gullible and all that, but it's getting scary. And she married young and has been married 20 years and has 4 young children. And she's even talked about introducing the children to this guy. And of course, gives her all this song and dance that he's wealthy. Uh, his phone is his phones are blocked.
Mm. Well, Gail, your
Right.
phone's getting a little bit disconnected. But let me say this. If you have those
Is that
concerns,
better?
yes,
Yes.
it's better. It's very
Yes.
better. Yeah. If you
Okay.
have those concerns about him, you can report him. I know we just said that on the previous call, but literally,
Well,
they,
we can't.
go ahead.
We can't find him. He's supposedly out of state, and there's no way to. We've tried. We
Okay.
can't find him, and our question is, the fifth, if we confront her, but I think it's a safety issue, and so my thinking is just gets upset. She gets upset.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Better than
Gail, we get it. Your
Sure.
phone is breaking up a little bit, but we get it. This is a very dangerous situation on so many
Yes.
levels. Jill, why don't we start with you,
Well,
and then we'll go to Mark?
especially with the kids involved. And I know your phone's kind of not being great, but
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm wondering does she live with you? Do they all live with you?
No,
they don't. Okay. Okay. And do you get to be with your grandkids?
Well, I'm not now because they don't live in the same city.
Okay.
They're 4 hours away.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think sometimes it's really difficult in situations like this. Like Becky, you were saying, you don't want to break relationship with your daughter, but you've got young kids at stake here. And so because of that, you kind of have to put the interests of the kids or the people that are most vulnerable ahead of the ones that are making choices, right? And so to be able to say something to her and let her know, or ask her, do you have any concern that this guy may not be on the up and up? Have you considered that, right?
No, she doesn't. She has. It's like you're talking to a 16-year-old. She has no concerns, and she believes all the tales he's telling her.
Gail, does the father of the children know that this is happening?
Yes, he just found out.
Okay.
Yes.
And what's his response, Gail? Is he getting involved?
Well, he is very upset. He's very concerned that she's just going to hate him forever if he confronts her. And I said, it's beyond whether she hates him forever or not, or hates all of us. It's her safety and the children.
Well, and if they're in the middle of a divorce, then I would think he could bring this issue to his attorney.
Right.
And there needs to be an advocate, perhaps, assigned for the children and assessing their safety. And that may be the best way to go about it, that it's, handled legally. Because if she's being a neglectful mother, and here, she's going through a divorce, she's, in divorce, we feel rejected, depending on the circumstances. And so this guy is paying a lot of attention to her. And so she's liking those feelings. And that's causing her to have really poor judgment. So...
Oh, definitely.
I would take a risk, Gail, because it sounds like something needs to be done. And I would say to your daughter, if I were you, hey, babe, I'm concerned about you. I'm concerned about things that are going on, and what can we do to help? What can, I and your dad do to help you? Because to me, it sounds like there's a lot of security that is happening for her, that she's finding in this relationship. And so if you can help maybe fill in some of that security gap for her, maybe she doesn't have this great need for this other person.
Okay, but you definitely, I'm hearing you saying that it is important to confront this.
Correct.
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Thank you so much.
Gail, just like what I think Jill said this, it would be important for you to go back to the father of the children and say, we've got to do something about this. In this day and age, we can never take for granted the lethality of these people who are doing scams online. And those children are in danger if mom doesn't see the problem with her having this relationship with this online person and no background. I mean, I wouldn't want that even if she saw him in person. It's just not safe, and we need to
and you
get...
can let the attorneys be the bad guys.
Exactly,
Right?
Exactly. And we'll be praying for you, Gal. We know that this is a difficult situation, but, you know, we live in such a time where some terrible things can happen, and we can get stuck feeling like we can't say anything, but we want to say what we can to prevent what we can. And you know, just do the best you can for those kids and get the father involved. That's going to be the next best thing. We are continuing to just take calls, 1-800-229-3000. We'll be back after this.
It had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. It's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. New Life's Every Man's Battle Workshop can help.
After 7 years, just one weekend, a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Workshop.
He said, you know, I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
The Every Man's Battle Workshop is being held online as a one-day event Saturday, May 13th. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com.
I just can't say enough of what New Life has done for our marriage.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We are so glad that you are listening. And I know there's so many of you that listen on the podcast. You listen through the free app that we have. You listen online. You listen on a radio show, whatever way that you listen. And of course, our YouTube family, which I love so much. But I love all of you. And I'm so glad that you're listening because I think that it's making a difference in your life. I hear that all the time from people who we talk to. And they just say, you know, I've learned so much over the years by listening to the program, and we're grateful that you're there. And maybe you want to share it with somebody, you know, let somebody else know that they can get some help from listening to New Life Live. Right now, we are going to talk with Marie, who's calling us from St. Louis, Missouri, and listens on Sirius XM. That's another way you can listen. Thanks for calling, Marie. How can we help you today?
Hi. Sure, let me get this. Yes, hello.
Hello.
Hi. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Calling, okay, I suffer from anxiety. I'm married. It'll be 40 years in August. And I was having some issues with my husband. I got COVID, and I got it's anxiety, but it's a different kind. My doctor was telling me it's long-term COVID. So my husband had been helping me and stuff, and then just one day he said, I don't want to give you medicine. I don't want to do this. I want out of this relationship. And I've had a lot of problems with him. I fractured my knee last year, and a couple other things was wrong with it. It was from him and stuff. And so I was telling my therapist about all the stuff that was going on with him. And then a lot of times if anybody else says anything to me out of the way, he's ready to fight them. But then he'll say stuff, mental abuse, some not as bad, but physical, not, knockout or anything. I was wondering, is there any help for a narcissist? That's what my therapist and my other therapist labeled him as.
Well, Marie, let me ask you this before you go forward. So has he been physically abusing you?
I went through some of that when I was younger, a little bit. Now he was like holding my hands. He wouldn't let them go, and he was trying to push me out of the room a couple of days ago. I just couldn't take it. And this may have been really bad to do, but I just spit on him because I'm tired of him pushing me around. So he said that was the worst thing. I'm like, but you do that. I told him I have borderline osteoporosis. And I said, when you do certain things, they hurt and stuff. And so, I mean, I can't say everything because it's not enough time, but I've been through stuff years ago where he threw the keys so hard I had to get stitches. I've been through him dragging me.
Marie, the answer is yes, he is physically abusing you. And that's what happens so many times. We get talked out of what the reality is for us. You had mentioned something with your knee, and I'm just wondering if your therapist knows this.
For a little bit, I didn't say anything. The last therapist I had, he was really good, and I never mentioned it, but I have mentioned it when I had my therapist about 30 years ago. And he always tells me, well, if somebody slaps you, that's not abuse. I'm like, you drug me out of the house with no clothes on about 20 years ago.
So your husband negates the reality of what is happening.
Yeah, and I don't understand because he'll give me the world, tell me to go buy stuff. He'll get on anybody else for bothering me or try to take up for me or fight him and stuff. So I don't know. They just told me from everything I told him that in 2 or 3 different therapists that he's a narcissist, and I didn't know what that was. And I told him, I said, they think you're a narcissist. And he goes, well, I'm smarter than you. You don't even know what it is. And so I didn't, so I looked it up, and it does fit his personality. And I was just wondering if there's any type of help for someone that they...
Let's talk to Jill and Mark, but your help needs to be focused on you, Marie. So,
right. Well,
Jill?
And Marie, there is help for some narcissists if they are willing to look at themselves. The hard part is, depending on how far down they are in the continuum of narcissism, they're not always willing to look at themselves. And they usually want to make everything the other person's fault. I am hearing some very controlling behavior, and then he tries to kind of buy you off. So he has bad behavior, or you guys both escalate to a point where things get physical, and then
they get really bad. He pushes me. I could be relaxing, and he'll just come in there and say something, and if I don't answer him quick enough, or he'll tell me, I don't like the way your voice sounds. I don't like how you said. I'm like, but I'm not mad. I said, it's probably my anxiety. No, it's you. There's nothing wrong with your anxiety. I said, you know what? I'm a certain age, and I could have a heart attack with you doing this to me, and it doesn't bother him. He told me to die.
Well,
to kill
right,
yourself.
Because people that are more narcissistic lack empathy. They feel their feelings very strongly, but not always others. And others are often just an extension of what they need them to be. So you're describing, too, that based on his mood is how he treats you, that it really has nothing to do with you, which that's a very painful place to be, because usually the person in relationship with the narcissist is always trying to figure out what they can do to have him be, positive and happy, and that's a bit crazy making for you.
Well,
Marie.
And Marie, you can hear the music, but hold on. We're going to take a break, but we'll be right back with more.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery. And one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 Steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We are so glad that you are with us today. We are talking with Marie, who's in a really critical situation. And Mark and Jill, let's give Marie some direction moving forward.
Yeah, so I'm concerned for you, Marie, because your question is about getting help for your husband when really we are concerned about you, and you are really embroiled in the cycle of abuse where, the abuse happens, and then what you were describing is that then he, will do this taking care of you or what we might call love bombing, right, to make you feel then safe and protected, and then keeps you safe from other people. But then, then the criticisms and the abuse then continue for you. And so what happens? Hold on, just give me a second here. I just want to let you know what happens though is we're people who get in the cycle, they become what we call trauma bonded. And so what happens is somebody treats us really bad and then they treat us really nicely, and this intermittently happens. And what happens is these chemicals in your brain, cortisol is the stress chemical, and then oxytocin is the bonding chemical, and those two things happen together. And we, when we should be running away, we stay because we want to, because we're connected with that person. And so this is what's happened to you. And what is really difficult about somebody who, as Jill was mentioning, who is a narcissist, has that disorder, is that they have something called egosyntonic, which is a really long word, but what it means is they like being this way, right? Somebody who...
They don't see anything wrong
right,
with it.
Somebody who has anxiety doesn't like having anxiety, and they're ego dystonic. Somebody who has narcissism likes being that way, and so really there's no internal motivation for them to change. And so I'm really concerned about you undergoing this abuse. Do you have any supports in your life, any family, any children who can help you? I'm wondering why you are continuing to stay.
Went to I have 3 older sons. They don't live here, and I've called them, and I guess they don't really want to hear it about their dad and stuff, and so they'll just not answer their phone and say, we don't want to hear it. And I said, I'm trying to tell you in case if something happens, or in case if he hurts me and stuff. And so, I mean, he gets so mad to, like, if I say one thing wrong, we always go to the show. We've always went on a Friday and Saturday. So he'll say, I'm going to punish you, and you can't go to the show. We're not going. Go by yourself. And I'm like, I'm not a kid.
How old are you, Marie?
Oh, I'm almost 70.
Almost 70.
So I'm 66.
So I wonder if in the state of Missouri, and it probably does, is once you reach over a certain age, typically it's around 65, this becomes what we call elder abuse. And there should be some resources available for you, where the local state or county can be able to help you here.
Okay. Yeah. And I was trying to find, I've been to groups like IOP about 4 or 5 times this year and stuff because of my anxiety, and that did tell them what was going on and stuff, but he's so deaf set, like he said, I'm going to put you away because I was taking lorazepam and it messes with your memory and stuff, so I stopped taking it and stuff, and my memory did get a lot better and stuff and everything, but it seems like he's trying to do everything. I'm like, I asked him to leave. He said he doesn't want to be in a marriage, and he's like, I'm not going anywhere and stuff, so I don't know what's going on.
Are you in therapy right now, Marie?
I just started. I have a psychiatrist and a psychologist, and I did tell the psychologist because I've never told my family what he's done. That everybody thinks he's great, and he tells me don't mess my reputation up.
Well, I'm glad that you did that, and I'm going to encourage you to ask them. Do they know of any resources that can help you? Because maybe they can put you in touch with a social worker. And that person can offer you some resources, because I'm really concerned about you. Really concerned about you.
Yeah, and if you have other family members besides your son, it's time to break the silence, Marie.
Yeah, I did tell my oldest son, that was about 10 years ago, and he did come out, and they kind of got into a struggle or a fight or whatever, and it kind of calmed him down for a long time and stuff, but I just...
So, Marie, I think if you have the ability to get in touch with a women's shelter or a domestic violence resource there in the city, you're going to find that you'll have a group of women who can help you through this. Your psychologist may be able to get you in touch with that. But Mark, you had mentioned something on the break that sometimes when we're in these situations and we've been in it for so long, we don't recognize how bad they are. And we're concerned for you, Marie. We're concerned that this has been going on so long that it's acceptable practice. And it's not. None of this is okay. It's not okay for you to experience that, especially, as we get a little bit older, we need to have secure people around us. And many times in families, they have a hard time saying no. And so we want to encourage you to tell your psychologist the truth, to be as honest as you can. And even to the point where you're concerned about your safety, even tell them what he has been threatening you with, that I will have you locked up. Those kind of threats are something that you can report to the psychologist.
Well, and all of that is to keep you controlled, Marie.
Right.
And the thing is, and he's also threatening about leaving you, but perhaps you should allow him to leave you. Right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So in all of this, Marie, I just think that to be as honest as you can with those that you are enlisting to help, like the psychologist, the psychiatrist. But mostly I would say the psychologist. The psychiatrist isn't going to be exactly in that same thought process of finding you a good group. And we'll get you connected with somebody in that area as well, just as an alternative. But we're glad you called today. It's such a scary situation when we're in an abusive, controlling situation, because we see, like you said, Mark, this trauma bond of, when the good shows up, we think, oh, well, there he is, and it's all going to be fine. And then the other comes out, and it's really terrifying, and we want you to get help.
And that's why people stay, is because they keep trying to get back to the good, but
yes,
it's never going to stay there.
Never, never. And it's not okay. We get to do all of this. We get to offer help because of people who help us. And Larry is one of those people. Larry Sonnenberg's in the studio. Larry, how can people help us help others?
Well, I love what you said about helping people. The last caller was an example of the pain that people go through. And this caller, this person that I'm going to read from, listened to radio, and it helped her a lot in a lot of ways. She said, "I've listened to you for years and must say that your show has played a major role in helping me gain new life, especially emotionally and mentally. You showed me that there was a more excellent way and approach to living God's way every day. I desperately needed direction and help after having a child and not being married. I needed help dealing with the tremendous guilt for years. I happened upon your show and began to use the methods and questions you used in processing callers' issues as a filter for my own thoughts and problems. Today, 8 years after hearing you for the first time, there are still difficult days, but I'm so thankful for the tools, standards, and guidelines you have provided for living a full life." Folks, this radio program really does something. It touches people. And it's not just all radio. It's podcast. It's on the app, however you listen. But this is touching people in a deep way. It's changing their lives. That's why we want some help. We need donations in order to continue and keep this thing going. And you're the ones that can do it. You're the first domino to fall to make all this happen. And if you have never given, today is the day. Be the first. Someday is what a lot of people say. Someday I'm going to do that. Well, today is someday. So please help. Make a gift right now. Give us a call, 800-NEW-LIFE, or go online to newlife.com. We can help you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Larry. We're going to continue helping people, and we're going to go to Bob after this break. We know that so many of you listen every day, and you are so grateful that we're here. I hope that you will help us continue to be here for others. Every dollar that you give helps someone. And it's just amazing to hear the testimonies like you just read, Larry. It's profound that we get to sit in this space where we know where the resources can go, when somebody calls us, just like the callers we've had today, but also the folks that are never on the program. We have calls at 1-800-NEW-LIFE that are looking for counselors, looking for coaches, want to join us at a workshop, and we do our very best to give you the direction that's going to change your life, change your family. And we just are amazed at how God meets us in that space, and you can be part of that. We'll be right back after this.
We went to the Intimacy and Marriage in 2019. We were both done.
This is Steve Arterburn. Do you feel like your marriage is done? New Life can help. We believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life. Our Intimacy and Marriage Workshop examines the various types of intimacy, spiritual, emotional, and physical, as well as the challenges of experiencing true intimacy.
The next Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is July 28th to the 30th in Washington, D.C. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more, or go to newlife.com. 1-800-639-5433.
Don't settle for a miserable marriage or even one that's just okay. It's possible to experience a new level of intimacy and have a great marriage.
The transformation, phenomenal. It has transformed our lives so much.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I've been listening to New Life for many years, gone to a few workshops. I want to support a ministry that helps people connect with God and with others and gives them the tools to help transform their life.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of all 8 100-day devotionals, including 100 Days of Healing, 100 Days from Freedom from Shame, and 100 Days of Freedom from Anger. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, discounts on workshops, and quarterly online meetings with Steve. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We are going to go right to the calls. We're talking with Bob, who called us from Orange, California, listens on KKLA. Thanks for calling, Bob. How can we help you today?
Hello. Me and my wife have been struggling in our marriage. I felt like deconstructed some of her conservative beliefs that are affecting us right now a lot. And she wants to separate for like over the summer or for good. She doesn't know. And I'm wondering how to handle that. She would like financial support. She would still want to meet and be intimate. So I struggle with supporting her financially or even be intimate with her because I feel like she says she wants to leave me, but she's not sure she'll come back. And she says she would come back. She would want to come back if she couldn't make it on her own financially. And I said, I don't think that's the only reason why I want you to come back, just because you can't make it on your own financially. And she's open to counseling. We've been going when we stopped for a while. I want to know like what kind of questions I should be asking. She doesn't feel like we can go to. She wants to go to her own church that's much more progressive. She wants to find a church that's much more progressive, and I don't want to go with her to a church like that.
So she's having different ideas, different from the ways in which you guys have thought about life, and she's wanting to explore these and doesn't feel like she can do it with you. Is that it, Bob?
Yeah, I don't agree. I'm much more conservative. I don't agree with the whole progressive church. So I find it difficult to go like long term, to one of those.
Bob, how long have you guys been married?
4.5 years. We're going to go to 5.
Is this the second marriage, Bob, for you guys?
No. It's our first marriage. She believes she got married too early, too young, and that her views change, right now. Yeah.
How old is she and how old are you?
She's 20. She's going to be 29. I'm going to be 42.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a good thing that she wants to go to counseling with you, Bob. I'm so sorry for this situation. It is a really hard situation. I do think, here would be my advice is if she is intent on leaving and there's nothing that you can do about that, I would try and create a separation plan. And maybe your therapist, if you get established with a therapist, that person can help you do that, where you kind of outline some things in there. You outline finances, you outline, how often you guys are going to see each other, and you outline, okay, where are we moving here? Are we moving toward separation more, or are we moving toward reconciliation? If you guys don't have kids together, it doesn't seem like it would make a whole lot of sense to go see a therapist to move toward separation further. But it sounds like if she's intent on leaving you, you may have to do a legal separation to kind of outline some of these things to protect yourself. But I would caution against, I think when you're saying about being intimate, I think you're talking about having sex. I would caution against that, because that really should be held for a committed relationship, and that's only going to confuse you if you get this intermittent reinforcement but she doesn't really want to be with you.
Right. Well, and even the confusion of the finances, Mark, that you're talking about, because if you, Bob, are giving her money, there's no reality check for her, no pun intended, but I mean, there's no kind of sense of reality about life without you. Right. And I know there's alimony and all that kind of stuff, but I just wanted to interject that. Sorry, Jill, go ahead.
Well, right. And it shouldn't be about, can she make it on her own or not? It's kind of like she's wanting to leave home as if she's a kid.
Right. But
and
come back.
Wants
if
the
she
support.
Can.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're not a parent. And I hope that you also would not put yourself in the role of being parental. And I'm wondering, with her having these new ideas, certainly this isn't what you signed up for, but I think you have to give her a little latitude to be able to explore and not perhaps be so worried about long term. You're not willing to do that. Okay, but in the short term, sometimes people have to explore and it looks like they're moving away, but they come back full circle. And so why not go to church with her?
Right, because while you guys are a couple, you're also individuals. You're two individual people, so we should be able to individuate as well as couple.
So
we found a church that we can go both to. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so take turns. If she wants to try something new, go with her, and then have her go with you.
And Mark, since we talked about, we've talked about this before, attachment theory and attachment styles, this is a situation where Bob, you're asking about what questions to talk about in therapy. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to really understand, how do I attach? Like, it sounds like you guys have not really connected, but Mark, what would be some questions that he could introduce, or maybe even a style of therapy that they need to be looking for?
Yeah, I think if you do get to go to couples therapy, I think it's also learning how to hear each other out. I am a big fan of putting people into listener-speaker roles, where one person is just the listener for an extended period of time. It could be 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Sometimes I do it the whole session, right? And we just learn together how to hear the other person out. And I also teach the person who's the speaker how to look deeper. What are the emotions that's driving their behavior, right? And so even if you guys don't agree on something, you can still have understanding for the emotional experience the other person's having. And that's what we empathize with. We empathize with the emotional experience, not necessarily with the behavior. And so learning how to do that with each other can help you guys learn how to connect and see that maybe you can be together even if you don't agree on everything.
Yeah, and that's how we grow too.
Yeah,
we're going to send... Go ahead, Bob. We only have a few seconds left.
Okay. I also have, my own issues. I'm going to sign up for Every Man's Battle.
Great.
She has her own issues regarding something similar, and she wants me to see movies of an actor she's fond about. I don't want to do that, but she's going through her own thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like that makes it even harder.
Yeah, there are a lot of difficulties here, Bob, and I think that's why we're encouraging you guys to get into a process where you can have these healthier conversations about the things that are going on. We're going to send you a copy of Mylon and Kay Yurkovich's book, How We Love. And also, if you want, you can hold on and we'll get you connected with a therapist that actually knows how to do attachment style theory. And, it really will make a difference as you guys heal the wounds of the past and maybe even look forward to the future. You can also join us at an intimacy and marriage workshop someday. Jill and Mark, I'm so grateful for both of you and for the wisdom that you share with our listeners. And I'm grateful for the listeners too. If you need any help, you can call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com. Download the app. It's free. There's lots of great resources there, but we will see you next time.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.